property taxes are a huge ripoff. They should be illegal because you never can completely own your own property.
We need to start fighting against property taxes. It needs to either be regulated to stop going up as much, or it needs to be stopped altogether.
If you're not careful when buying a home, you'll end up like the homeowners we see today, with skyrocketing property taxes that you can't afford in a house you hate, and you'll be forced to give away your wealth for pennies. If you've ever thought property taxes should be illegal, pay close attention to this next clip.
So you're telling me that if I buy a house 30 years ago at $50,000, but the city develops really well, and now the value of my house is at $2 million, you're telling me that I have to now pay taxes on $2 million, even though I have never seen a dime of that $2 million. I have not sold my house. This is not an investment property. This is where I live, and I chose to live, and I hoped to live for the rest of my life. But now you're telling me that I either have to sell my house or lose my house because I can't afford to pay taxes. And the taxes are probably more than what my mortgage was 30 years ago. You're telling me that if I give this house as an inheritance as a senior to my children, and I pass away, they will either have to pay those property taxes for the rest of their lives, or they risk losing the house that I have worked so hard for all this time. Property taxes is a scam.
Do you think investment properties should be taxed and that primary residences where people actually live should not be taxed? She made a good point about what could potentially happen if she passed the homes on to her children as an elder. If you're a current homeowner or plan to be in the future, please make sure you meet with a lawyer who can help you get your estate planning done so that your affairs, including what happens to your house, are in order. Too many people lose family wealth because they do not plan. If you've ever had doubts about your property taxes being used for schools, pay attention to this next clip.
And I understand that it pays for education and it pays for teacher salaries, but I think we need to find another way because homeowners are losing their homes every single day. If you look in the tax lien website in your state, you're going to see how many people are losing their homes. They probably paid those homes off. They probably have paid the majority of their mortgage, but they can no longer afford to pay taxes. And their mortgages go up. And if they have already paid it, now they have to pay this for the rest of their life. Or they risk losing their home to some investor that is going to buy your house for whatever the tax amount was that you couldn't afford, but they can. We need to start fighting against property taxes. It needs to either be regulated to stop going up as much, or it needs to be stopped altogether. We're paying we're paying enough money for our education. Like, there is a leak somewhere. This is too much. If everybody here owns their home and you don't have enough money to pay for the teachers' salaries and the education, then there's something wrong in the government and we need to fix it.
Do you think we need to start fighting back against property taxes? And how can we do that? Because the number of people who lose their homes because of property taxes year after year, and they simply cannot afford it, is really sad. Now, here's another hot topic. What do you think about the fact that property taxes are going to schools that in some cases are failing? At minimum, I believe that if a home is paid off, there should be no more property taxes, because at that point, it feels like you're simply renting from the government. Many people believe that being in a state with low property taxes is the answer. Let's see if that's true.
Y'all pay Joe's property tax yet? Good Lord. I live in Alabama, and I know everybody thinks we have super cheap property taxes, but we've lived in the house we live in now for 10 years? And we got into the whole Dave Ramsey paying off your debt type thing. And we had envelopes that we saved. And we would have one set aside for taxes because we knew that was coming due every year. We would put $100 a month in that envelope to pay our taxes. They were $1,200. In 10 years, they are now $2,200. So that's a 100% increase in 10 years.
So a recent report by Smart Asset actually had Alabama as the #2 state with the lowest property taxes. But I do understand her confusion. $100 per year isn't bad, and I honestly wouldn't be too upset about that. Let me know in the comments, how would you feel if your property taxes went up $100 per year? To be honest, regardless of how little your taxes increase, you can always contest them. And if you need help today, I'm excited to share today's sponsor, Ownwell. Did you just get this in the mail? Property tax assessments are landing in mailboxes all over Texas right now. If you own a home in Texas, these assessments hit between March and April, and 9 times out of 10, the number is way too high. See, counties often use outdated valuation methods, and the result is you could be overpaying by hundreds or even thousands on your property taxes. That's why I'm excited to share Ownwell. They handle the whole appeal process for you. You don't file a thing. you don't call anyone, and there's no upfront cost. You only pay if they actually save you money. Ownwell has already helped 86% of their customers lower their taxes with an average savings of over $1,100, and more than 300,000 homeowners trust them to fight for what they should be paying. But here's the thing, you have to sign up by May 15th to lock in your 2025 appeal. If you miss it, you're gonna be stuck with that inflated bill all year. So go to ownwell.com/partners/Sam right now. It takes just a few minutes and you can save big. No hassle, no paperwork, just real savings. If you feel like people don't get anything for the property taxes they pay, you'll love this next clip.
Well, my husband was complaining about making a point, and I agree 100% with him. He's getting out of the car to go to the bank. But anyway, you get nothing extra for that tax money. You don't get better roads. We don't get garbage service. We don't, nothing else for that added money. Property taxes are a huge ripoff. They should be illegal because you never can completely own your own property. The government will always have a way to raise it above the level that you could afford to pay and take it from you. Housing market has been so crazy and everything is worth more than it was. So they ran out there with people to assess your property to say that it's worth a whole lot more than it used to be. But it still isn't worth it until you sell it, and we may never sell it. We'll probably retire there. So it doesn't make any sense. It's just, I'm in a bad mood about property tax today, can y'all tell?
To pay property taxes and everything stays the same has to be incredibly frustrating. I do agree with her that this has been a money grab for property taxes the last few years. I personally don't think it's fair to increase a homeowner's property taxes because their home might be worth more. That's like taxing somebody because the value of their stock portfolio went up, even if they didn't sell. Both of those cases seem like robbery to me. Now, the next clip will explain why it's very important to pay close attention to your mortgage statements, or you could be losing lots of money.
Remember how I paid $10,000 in property taxes in this video right here? In that video, somebody commented and they said, make sure you call your escrow company to double check that they're not paying your property taxes for you because you could be paying double. And I thought to myself, there's absolutely no way that could be happening because number one, the county wouldn't do that. They wouldn't bill me if my escrow company was paying for me. And number two, if I did double pay, they would let me know that I've been double paying and they would refund me my money, right? Yesterday, I called my escrow company and I was like, hey, by any chance, I would just like to know, how do I add my property taxes to my monthly payments so that I don't have to pay them out at the end of the year? He comes back and he tells me, what do you mean? We actually have been paying your property taxes since you guys got the mortgage, and there's absolutely no reason why you should be paying your property taxes on your own because you've been paying them on your monthly payment.
I can understand her assuming the best of the county, but if you give the money that is not owed, they will gladly take it. And I give her some grace because as a new homeowner, you may not understand how everything works and it may not have been explained to you by the professionals. In the spirit of transparency, I want to share a quick story that is a little bit embarrassing. So when I bought my first property, I paid the insurance up front because I didn't understand that the mortgage company would use the money from my escrow account to pay for it. I ended up getting a refund from the insurance company. So it's important to understand how all of this works. Now, in most cases, the way your mortgage payment every month is broken down is you have your principal, your interest, your taxes, and your insurance. Now, the money that's allocated to taxes and insurance goes into what is called escrow. And from that escrow, the mortgage company pays the property taxes when they're due, and they also pay the insurance when it's due. So if your mortgage is set up such that everything is all together, that means that you don't have to pay your taxes or insurance on your own. Now, based on your mortgage, you might be able to set it up so that you can pay those things independently, but just want to give you an overview of how it typically works. So the next clip is when she realized what she should have been doing all along. But first, I need you to hit that like and subscribe button. If you want to get better at real estate investing, you got to make sure you're following this channel.
On the hold, I go on the website, I log in, and I see that for the past 3 years, which is how long we've had the house for, escrow company has been paying the property taxes every 6 months, and we've also been paying the property taxes once a year. I called the county yesterday. I was on hold forever. And then all of a sudden, I go from being on hold to having a survey done that's like, oh, if you like the representative you spoke to, please score them. And I'm like, what representative? I haven't spoken to anyone. Anybody knows what to do, how to proceed? They would even refund us our money because at this point they have to, right? Like they have to refund the money because we've been paying double. I am shocked. I don't know what to do. I don't even know where to start. But if anyone has any advice, any tips, please let me know. And also, thank you to everybody who commented on the previous video, because you guys actually really helped me out.
So I'm curious about what county she lives in, because it's crazy to me that they sent her to a survey when she didn't even speak to anyone. I feel like they do that just so you can get off the phone and get annoyed enough to not call back. Let me know in the comments, do you think she's going to get her money back? Raise your hand if you believe home prices have gotten out of hand over the last 5 years. I'm assuming everyone has their hands raised. Let's watch the next clip.
So you're telling me that if I bought a house 30 years ago at $50,000 and the value of the property increased to about $1 million, you're telling me now I have to pay taxes on $1 million even though I have not seen a single dime out of that money? I have not sold my home. I have not seen a penny of that $1 million. You're telling me right now that I have to pay taxes on $1 million when probably the property tax is going to be higher than what my mortgage was 30 years ago. How the heck is that not a scam? Now, I understand the property tax pay for education, but there has to be another way. The government needs to get involved because this is definitely getting out of hand. And I have a few solutions that can solve the problem. Number one, more funding should come from the government. That's a given. We pay taxes to the government already, right? So more funding should go to the school. Number two, if you are to charge property tax, have it regulated. 10% of what your mortgage is. If your mortgage is $1,000, then you should pay only $100 in taxes. You know what I mean? And once the mortgage is paid off, property tax should be gone. It should not have to be paid anymore because the land is yours. You paid for it for 30 years and now the house is yours. What do you guys think? Please leave a comment below.
The crazy thing is there are some homes that have experienced crazy appreciation like that in the last 30 years. So what he's saying is very real. All you have to do is Google the median home sales price in your area 30 years ago. And if you are in one of those high cost of living areas, especially, the run up from 30 years to now is unbelievable. I do agree that having a strict limit on property taxes does make sense, and it would help a lot more people be able to keep their homes. I personally believe that every state should have this kind of limit, and if they did, more folks would not be forced out of their homes. He mentioned that more money should go to schools. Let me know in the comments if you agree with that. Should schools receive more funding than they get now? So one of the worst parts of property taxes is when elderly homeowners lose their homes. And then in the next clip, we'll learn some more about that.
Guys, I think I'm like spiraling a little bit because we just got our tax assessment. Like our county said, we're going to look at everybody's house and we're going to estimate a value that what we think it is. And then we're going to tax you for the value we think it is. And our county right now is 1.63%. And it's not like you buy a house and you're like, oh, you owe 1.63% of your home value to the county. They take that 1.63% and they're going to tax you on your value of your house every single year. So you have a $200,000 house, you're going to pay $3,000 in taxes per year till the day you die. And here's the thing. Maybe me and my husband can figure out a few extra $100 a month, but can my neighbor who's retired and elderly and put his time in have to pay triple, quadruple, whatever 6 times is more in his mortgage that he has paid his house off, he's paid his dues, and now they're going to try to tax him out of his home? Like, this is the world we live in, and it's so upsetting, and I just don't know why people sit back and take it. Like, I just don't understand. Like, it's just getting to the point where it's crazy. Like, we don't live in a nice world anymore. So we need to, like, figure our shit out and stop letting this happen to us.
So I can appreciate the empathy that she has for her neighbors who may not be able to withstand the tax increase like she might be able to. It makes absolutely no sense to me to increase property taxes because of the perceived value of a property. If the home hasn't been sold, how can they just make up a number? They don't even do true appraisals. I remember talking to the county to understand the process, and they told me they do drive-by appraisals. It's purely a money grab. Now, let's be honest here. You and I, is it reasonable to appraise and assign a value to a home that contains drains, an exterior, an interior, finishes, so on and so forth, does it make sense to you to appraise and assign a value to a home doing a drive-by appraisal? It makes absolutely no sense. For anyone who's been through the home buying process, typically the inspection is very thorough. It's based on the condition of your home compared to the homes within a certain radius that have been sold during a certain time period, looking at the different features and so on and so forth. It's pretty detailed for the most part, especially for the competent appraisers. So this whole idea of a drive-by and we're just going to make up some number to assign a value to a property, I just don't understand how we got here. All right, let me get back on track. If you or someone you know is a senior homeowner, check if there are any limitations available for property tax increases. So some states, some counties have it where if you are of a certain age, either they freeze your property taxes or they limit the increases, or maybe you get some sort of exemption. Definitely make sure to look into it. Or if you have elders or homeowners, again, make sure you look into that too, or help them. Maybe they don't understand how to go online and look at the websites or call. And so this could be an opportunity for you to help them out. Now we need to learn how to get ahead of some potential property tax issues. So before you buy a property to live in or an investment property, make sure you understand if there is a cap to property tax increases and also how often they are reassessed. I suggest calling the county tax office and understanding the process, have them walk you through everything. This is something that I do when I'm looking for properties to buy. Now, if you're a veteran, senior, or disabled, find out if the tax office has any exemptions for you. I want to remind you again, you should also check if there is a homestead exemption available if it's your primary residence. You might even want to speak to the county tax office about how much you're planning to buy a property for and what you can expect for your taxes based on it. The point I want to drive home is ask as many questions as possible so that you are not blindsided and we can minimize you being potentially blindsided as much as possible. If you need more help, don't forget to visit ownwell.com/partners/Sam, or you can find the link in the pinned comment of this video. If you have any tips that you want to share about property taxes, or maybe you had a property tax nightmare you want to share, drop it in the comments. I would love to hear from you. So now that you know about these property tax nightmares, I want you to learn the truth about property taxes.